The Judicial District of the State of Tennessee is now open for the transaction of business pursuant to adjournment. All persons having business with this court draw near, give attention, and ye shall be heard. The Honorable Judge Jennifer Johnson Mitchell presiding. You may be seated.
Dean?
Yes.
Can you cut the feed for a minute?
What's that?
Can you cut the feed for a minute?
Yeah.
I just got some, regular work. Those the
All of
digits.
them.
Okay. Okay, so. Let me make sure I have this right. State moves to use the CDRs for, what's TZ's government name?
Joshua Taylor.
And the other person, Ham,
Harry Lockhart.
who's also referred to as Ham. Harry Lockhart.
Harry, Harry.
Is Ham TRE
I have no idea.
or?
I don't believe so. I've seen no evidence of that.
So Ham doesn't necessarily have an affiliation here.
Correct.
I was asking if Ham had an affiliation, TRE or CMG. No, nobody really knows. Okay, that's. take them in reverse just because that's kind of how I looked at them. Ms. Taylor, what's the argument again for the court to allow in the CDRs for Harry Lockhart, also known as Sue?
You're right. He was referenced in, well, his name was brought up as having communication with one of the co-conspirators, in
Which one?
Justin Johnson.
His name was brought up in text messages or?
No,
in
his
testimony?
name was brought up in Browning's testimony on yesterday.
Okay, as what? I mean,
As having, this was on July 27th. It was in reference to Justin texting him about talking to Juke. And it's also, I believe, relevant as to the text messages that defense has brought in referencing his name. They indicated that Justin was doing, Joshua Taylor, Harry Lockhart, all the names are starting to get confusing. Harry Lockhart was talking or was referenced in some of Justin's text messages in regards to maybe Justin doing an outside thing, outside of the conspiracy.
and you said specifically on July 27th,
Yes, Your Honor.
as we were going through text messages on yesterday?
No, he was brought up in Browning's testimony
Right.
in regards to July 27th.
So what I'm saying is that did we not see text messages yesterday from July 27th?
Just from Justin Johnson.
Well, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about, we're talking about Justin Johnson's communications with Harry Lockhart.
On yesterday is how Harry Lockhart became relevant. And it's also referenced in Justin Johnson's text message to, I think, another individual
About Harry Lockhart.
about Harry Lockhart.
Okay, so my question to you is that when Sergeant Browning was testifying yesterday, going through his PowerPoint, was Harry Lockhart mentioned on the 27th? Did you
Yes.
you referenced the 27th?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
And you think it's relevant now, because I'm sure that's what your argument is going to be. I didn't necessarily get that from you. Is your argument that it's not relevant?
Yes, Your Honor, just like yesterday, it's just a passing reference to the text. There's no communication that we introduced to
Right.
him. And you suppressed that yesterday because that's the
Well,
whole point.
I got that, and I agree with what I just read, that it is just passing here. Ms. Taylor just brought up another argument, but that it was brought up in Sergeant Browning's testimony yesterday, that there were conversations, on text message, from Justin Johnson to Harry Lockhart, that she says is relevant because Harry Lockhart's name came up yesterday.
Right, it was on direct. They brought it up. It just happens to be a passing thing on cross that we're doing a text message. You can white it out for all I care. I didn't need his name in there. I'm just giving you the text message because Justin Johnson was talking to somebody else and he says, oh, Ham's there too. That's essentially all that is to it. It wasn't relevant and direct when they talked about it yesterday. We didn't bring it up. We didn't emphasize it. We didn't do anything. I don't even know what Ham has to do with the price of tea in China.
But it's now in the text messages that you've entered.
His name,
That's
but
to
they
say
entered,
that you highlighted some text messages, okay?
Right.
That says that you're making the argument that Justin Johnson was having individual conversations outside of Govan, Mr. Govan, about other issues, about
I'm not,
whatever they were talking about.
I'm not highlighting it.
No,
On direct.
you're highlighting,
Well, it's in there, but
Yeah.
on direct, they brought it up, that Justin got
and I
some Justin.
understand, but you've now highlighted it, and so, Ms. Taylor, what's your response that it's not relevant here, that it can be whited out as far as he's concerned?
Well, now they want it whited out. They didn't do that yesterday and they could have done that then. But also, Your Honor, I would, further state that there are communications between Mr. Govan and Mr. Lockhart during the time of this conspiracy, which I think is relevant. And if they're gonna bring it up that Justin, may have been doing some outside things, it's important for the jury to also know that Mr. Lockhart had communications with Mr. Govan.
Judge, they brought up the communication between Justin Johnson and him. They brought it up in their text message. It was already there. So when I'm crossing in with some of these other text messages, that guy's name is referenced. We didn't bring any other specific text messages between Ham and Justin Johnson. They brought it up. It wasn't relevant to them yesterday when they went through a very lengthy direct examination. It's one of their slides out there that says Justin Johnson talked to Ham. They brought it up. I didn't even ask the name Ham. I just read the text message like you instructed me to do and admitted this stuff. It has nothing to do with anything as far as that goes. They brought it up. And I'm just responding to that. It wasn't relevant in direct examination, but now it's relevant.
What's your response?
I mean, I reiterated that, the call records aren't coming in through another witness. These are self-authenticating documents that I feel are relevant to this trial, specifically to Mr. Govan. If their argument is gonna be, which they asserted several times yesterday, that Justin Johnson was going outside this and he was talking about Ham and referencing Ham and sending information about Juke to Ham, it's also relevant that Ham or Mr. Lockhart has communications with Govan. It's not outside of the scope of the conspiracy.
Your Honor, they're conflating the issues. They brought up the fact that Justin Johnson was talking to Ham on the scope of the conspiracy. My text messages don't have any communication with Ham. It's through somebody else. If they want to bring in the cheesy stuff, I agree. I put in a text between Justin Johnson and cheesy guy. It's the same argument we went through yesterday on chat. They brought up the text. Now she's making it seem like we somehow manufactured something out there. They brought up the text, indirect, that Ham communicated with Justin Johnson.
And I was under the impression that Ham was mentioned, and I'm looking at exhibit 26, that Ham was mentioned in this text message from Justin Johnson to Teasy, Joshua Taylor. I'm going to exclude that one. As to Harry Lockhart, also known as Ham. You cannot use those.
We have no objection to the cheesy one, Your Honor, based on that argument.
All right. So you can use the Teasy, Joshua Taylor CDR.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Not for Mr. Govan, Your Honor.
Say that again.
Nothing for Mr.
I'm sorry. Is your medical examiner here?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
I want to put her on.
Oh, well, I will just say I have no further questions for Sergeant Brown.
Okay.
I don't even know if he's here.
Yeah, he can be released and then bring in the medical examiner. And we'll just let the jury know that he's been released.
And the CDRs with the self-authenticating document we have.
We'll put that, let's get the medical examiner out there and then we'll put that in.
To finish the list, yeah, sure.
Yes. And you don't have that motion to do that.
Okay, well, I didn't, sometimes I've got it in there,
She probably got trash can over there too.
I've got a lot of ladies.
Yeah, there's trash can, so.
No, I'm sure of you. I guess. You're on the lead, so I'll have to come.
Ready, young?
Yes.
Jury's now in.
Good morning.
Morning.
Before we call our next witness, you should know that Sergeant Browning was excused, yesterday without any further questions. Call your next witness.
The state calls Dr. Juliet Skindleberry.
Stand right here, ma'am. Face you on, raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Have a seat. Thank you for your presence this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you state and spell your name for the record?
My name is Dr. Juliet Scantlebury, Juliette, Scantlebury, Scantlebury,
And where are you employed?
at University of Tennessee, at a West Tennessee Regional Forensic Center.
And what's your position?
I'm an assistant medical examiner,
How long have you been in that position?
6 years.
And what does your job consist of?
The job consists of performing medical legal autopsies to determine cause and manner of death in certain cases in this jurisdiction.
I want to talk a little bit about your background. Could you tell the jury about your education?
Yes. So I completed a Bachelor of Science in Biology at Howard University. Then I completed my medical degree at Howard University College of Medicine. My anatomic and clinical pathology residency was at Washington University in St. Louis. And then my last training was in forensic pathology fellowship at St. Louis University.
And are you board certified?
I am.
And are you a licensed physician in Tennessee?
I am.
And could you tell the jury what is forensic pathology?
So forensic pathology is a specialized branch of medicine that examines deceased persons to determine the cause and manner of death in a medical legal approach.
So what does a forensic pathologist do?
So a forensic pathologist performs autopsies based on the jurisdiction that they're working in to determine the cause and manner of death for certain types of cases that are under our purview.
And what exactly is an autopsy?
So an autopsy is an extensive examination of a deceased person, have an external examination and an internal examination of the body. So you look at everything from hair color, eye color, their body habitus, see if they have any scars, tattoos, that's external examination. And then the internal examination, depending on the level of autopsy, we'll look at all body cavities, we'll weigh all organs, we'll see if there's any fluid or any evidence of disease in any organs. And we also open the head and look at the brain, and we take certain fluids to be able to test to determine by toxicology or histology to determine, and with all that together, we determine what most likely caused the death for a person if we do an autopsy.
So Dr. Scantlebury, are there different stages of an autopsy?
Yes.
And what are those stages?
Okay. Autopsy itself is looking at the body, but starts from the investigation. So an investigator will give us the information, and the information we get from the investigator determine what type of autopsy we need to do. And if there's determined that a full autopsy needs to be performed, we might need x-rays, we do that first. Someone will help take all the clothing off, if there are any, take necessary pictures, necessary measurements of the body, the height, weight, and any other identifying characteristics on the body. And then move on to the internal part, and that's where we'll make an incision to open up the body cavity to see the internal cavity and see all the organs and any changes that might have happened that might be related to death or otherwise.
And have you performed an autopsy before?
I have.
About how many would you say?
Over 2,000, I stopped counting after that.
So could you explain to the jury, what does cause of death mean?
So cause of death is the immediate reason that led to a person's death. So it may have different ways of saying, so if it's natural, it would be what medical disease led to the person's death, or if there's any kind of injury that caused the person to no longer be alive.
And is that different from manner of death?
Yes.
How is it different?
So manner of death is the classification of that type of death it was. So it will be how you would want to classify the death. So there are 5 manners of death in this jurisdiction. It may vary in places, but here there's natural, accident, suicide, homicide, and undetermined.
And have you ever testified about your findings from an autopsy you did?
Yes.
And have you ever been qualified as an expert witness in the area of forensic pathology?
I have.
And have you been qualified in the courts of this county and other counties?
I have.
Where have you been qualified before?
Illinois, Missouri, and Tennessee.
Your Honor, I tendered Dr. Scantlebury as an expert in forensic pathology and asked that she be allowed to state her opinions as to a reasonable degree of certainty, medical certainty.
No objection.
The court will, find that Dr. Scantlebury is an expert in the area of forensic pathology, therefore she can testify as to how we know that we give her opinions as to that matter.
Thank you. Dr. Scantlebury, I want to ask you about a specific autopsy. Did you perform an autopsy for an Adolph Thornton Jr.?
I did.
And do you recall when this autopsy was performed?
Yes.
When was it performed?
November 18th, 2021.
Okay. And during the course of conducting this autopsy, did you also take pictures of Mr. Thornton's body?
Pictures were taken.
No pictures, David.
Okay. I'm passing you a few of the pictures from this autopsy. Dr. Scantleberry, do you recognize the photographs we just handed you?
I do.
Okay. And do they accurately depict the victim and the evidence during the autopsy?
They do.
Your Honor, I would like to have these photos of the autopsy entered into evidence and marked as index number exhibit.
Well, she needs to testify about what they are.
If we could enter them as a collective exhibit,
Well, that's fine, but she still, for the record, we need to know what they are. She needs to testify to each of them individually.
okay.
I mean, you don't have to publish them, that makes me no difference, but she needs to tell us what each one of them is.
Dr. Scantleberry, if you would look at that first picture, what is shown in that first picture?
So this first picture shows Mr. Thornton on the right side of his body, some of his head and his right shoulder, and it shows some gunshot wounds of his right jaw, right neck, and right shoulder.
What about the second picture?
This is a shot of his right upper extremity of gunshot wounds of the right forearm, so here and here.
What about the third picture?
This is another shot of the right side of his body, mostly with the right arm, and it shows his right hand, and there's a gunshot wound of his right wrist, and it shows another gunshot wound of his right forearm.
And as to the fourth picture,
This shows some other gunshot wounds of his left upper extremity.
and the fifth picture.
So this picture shows the back of Mr. Thornton's body, and you can see both arms and his back, and you can see the majority of the gunshot wounds of the back, and you can also see some gunshot wounds of his upper extremities.
And the sixth picture,
This is another picture showing the same thing, but it was taken from the left side of the body, showing gunshot wounds of the back and upper extremities.
and the seventh picture,
This is a closer view of the gunshot wounds of the back from the left side of the body.
and the eighth picture,
This is an overall view of the bullet fragments that were recovered from the right jaw from Mr. Thornton.
and the ninth picture,
These are bullet fragments from the torso from Mr. Thornton, pictures of bullet fragments.
and the 10th photo,
This is shows a picture of the remote bullet from the left thigh.
and the 11th,
This is a remote bullet from the right lobe of the liver.
and the 12th,
This is a bullet core fragment from the right chest.
the 13th,
This is a bullet from the lower mid back.
the 14th,
And this is a remote bullet from the right buttock.
Your Honor, we'd like to have these photos of the autopsy entered as a collective exhibit.
No objection to any of that.
We're gonna make this a collective exhibit. Fourteen pages. The first 7 pages are multiple pictures of Mr. Thornton's body with multiple gunshot wounds. The next next 7 are, pictures of the fragments that were removed from different parts of his body. Wound mark is a selected exhibit 31.
Thank you. And we have permission to publish.
Yes.
Dr. Scantleberry, we're gonna start with the first photo that you viewed. Could you tell us what is seen in this photo?
So in this photo, you can see the right side of Mr. Thornton's body. That rectangular object is the case placard with the case number associated with this case. It can be seen. This will help you attach that photo to that particular case. And it can also use a scale for the wounds or anything you need to measure on the body. So on the right side of the body, you see those defects in his right jaw and right neck. Those are gunshot wounds of his right neck and right jaw. And then there's some gunshot related injuries of the right shoulder.
Did you have any specific findings as to this injury?
Yes.
What were those findings?
So the injuries of the right jaw and the right neck cause injury to the tongue and skeletal muscle and the right mandible, which is the lower part of your jaw. Those were injured.
Moving on to the second photo that you viewed. What is shown in this photo?
This is the photo of his right arm. So to the right of the image, that is his right arm. And most of what you can see is right forearm. And this is the front side of it, the anterior portion. You can see those 2 large defects are gunshot wounds.
Were there exit wounds on this part of his body?
Not that one. Those are kind of graze or tangential wounds.
Moving on to the third picture. And what is shown?
I'm sorry.
What is shown in this picture?
This is a photo of the right side of the body, and you can see a gunshot wound in the right wrist. And another defect a little earlier, smaller defect.
Moving on to the fourth picture. Could you tell the jury what we see in this photo?
So this is a photo of Mr. Thornton's left forearm, and it shows a gunshot wound and some gunshot related injuries of the left forearm.
Moving on to the fifth photo. What do we see in this photo?
So this is the backward view of Mr. Thornton. His head is to the right and his feet are to the left of the photo. And you can see his arms, you can see some of the same gunshot wounds you saw in previous photos, but on the back view, you can see the overall view of the gunshot wounds of the back.
Okay. And moving on to the sixth photo.
This is similar, but from the left approach of the body. You can see his overall view of the gunshot wounds of the left, of the back.
And the seventh photo that you viewed?
This is a closer view of the gunshot wounds of the back from the left side of the body.
Okay. So in total, how many gunshot entrance wounds were there on Mr. Thornton?
Definitive gunshot entrance wounds, 20.
And were there any exit wounds?
Definitive exits, 4.
Okay. And moving on to the eighth photo. What do we see in this photo?
So these are bullet fragments of the right jaw. These are all the larger fragments that were able to be recovered from those wounds that you saw in the right neck and jaw.
And that was from the first photo that we viewed?
Yes.
Okay. And the ninth photo?
These are fragments recovered from the torso.
Okay. And the 10th?
This is a remote bullet from the left thigh.
All right, and the 11th photo?
This is a remote bullet from the right lobe of the liver.
Okay. And the 12th photo?
This is a bullet core fragment recovered from the right chest.
And the 13th photo?
This is a bullet from the lower mid-back.
And the 14th photo, what do we see here?
This is the underside of a bullet base that was remote, that was recovered from the right buttock.
Can you describe for the jury, what is a remote bullet?
So remote is people use different words can say remote or old, but I choose to use remote. Remote means it's a bullet that is related to a previous injury or previous shooting, not the shooting that led to their death in this case. It's happened before.
Okay. And how many, or do you recall how many remote bullets you might have found?
There were 3.
So, Dr. Scantlebury, within a reasonable degree of medical certainty, did you render an opinion as to Mr. Thornton's cause of death?
I did.
And what was that opinion?
Gunshot wounds of the head, neck, and torso.
And did you render an opinion as to the manner of death?
I did.
And what was that opinion?
Homicide.
Your Honor, I will pass the witness.
No questions, Your Honor. Thank you, Dr. Scantlebury.
Thank you, Dr. Call your next witness.
Your Honor, that is the state's proof, with the exception of the,
Go ahead and read that.
Is it something that you wanted us to read into evidence? This was just a stipulation.
Oh, that wasn't a stipulation.
No, it was.
You don't stipulate to the phone record, it's no problem.
Did we already put it in the evidence?
No,
We
no.
talked about it. We have put it in the evidence. So ladies and gentlemen, when you go back to deliberation, you will have everything that's been entered as an exhibit. There are at least 2 documents or 2 exhibits that you haven't necessarily heard specific proof about. They are called, what you might have heard is CDRs, called detail records. The law will allow certain records to be entered into evidence without testimony about them. And so that's what Ms. Taylor is getting ready to enter into evidence now. It's been redefined by the state, and there was one that was entered yesterday also. So you'll have a few things that you can review, but you haven't necessarily heard testimony about.
Attached with the self-authenticating document and the flash.
Now, this is self-authenticating document for phone number 901-283-3878. From T-Mobile, attested to by a Joe Rico. Also, I have here is a zip drive, a blue zip drive that has Joshua Taylor's name on the outside of the envelope, and it has CDR. So these are the call detail records for one Joshua Taylor. Let's enter this as collective exhibit 32.
This one.
So Ms. Taylor, do you officially want to rest or
In front of that is the state's proof.
thank you? Ladies and gentlemen, we need to take a brief break. We're coming back in just a few minutes. You haven't heard all the proof. Continue to do what I know you've been doing, which is not talking about this case. Give us a few minutes. We got a few legal things to take care of. We'll call you back in just a few minutes. Mr. Roy, you have a motion?
Yes, Your Honor, I was moving for a directed verdict, understanding that Mr. Cornelius has given some statements about it, that he was ordered to do it. I don't know if that rises to the level of a conspiracy or agreement amongst the parties. It was very inconsistent as far as that goes. Secondly, there's been no mention of how Justin Johnson is part of the conspiracy at all whatsoever. I understand it only takes two to tango, but I just don't see where the proof adds up to the conspiracy, and certainly not the first degree murder charge in count 2 based on the evidence that you've got.
Ms. Myers, Mr. Williams, excuse me.
Your Honor, the court is to view the evidence in the light most favorable to the state. We've heard testimony from Ms. Thornton that Mr. Thornton, the victim, was alive, is no longer alive. We heard testimonies from Dr. Juliet Skittleberry, who testified as to the cause and the manner of death, which is homicide. We also heard from a few other witnesses, like Cornelia Smith and Angela Arnold, stating that Hernandez Govan is the one that told Smith about this hit on Mr. Thornton and told him about the price. So all that to say, Your Honor, and also, Your Honor, that Justin Johnson was involved and was a part of it. So all that to say, the state would argue that there is enough for a reasonable jury to conclude guilt.
And Your Honor, I have no quibble. Of course, he was alive and he's since passed. I'm just, you heard proof that they didn't communicate for 2 weeks, at least with Justin Johnson, at least 2+ days on the phone calls that the government submitted yesterday. Cornelia Smith, supposed last phone call was on the 15th of November, 2 days prior to the murder. It was for 0 seconds, and then there was that code 11 that Garner talked about, might have been voicemail, that was 40 seconds. We know for a fact that he didn't talk to Justin Johnson based on the phone records for at least 2 weeks prior to the shooting. You're being asked to make a lot of supposition here based on what Cornelia Smith said. Cornelia Smith also said there was no plan. He got a call that morning, they got there, and they were just riding around doing whatever. Now, the fact that somebody 3 to 4 months prior to that fact said to you there may be a price on somebody's head, and was it Justin Johnson? I'm sorry, was it Govan or was it Joe? You've heard both things from the same witnesses have said it both ways in uncontroverted evidence. And so I'm not sure, how do you have a plan when I say, hey, there's a hit on these people? Some point in the future they kill them, now I'm on the hook for it. I just don't see how that makes a conspiracy. Generally, there's meeting in minds as to how, who, what, when, where. Nothing happened. It was just a generic, if you believe Cornelius, 4 months prior to the shooting, there's a generic statement that, hey, there's a hit on these guys and you can get paid.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
In the light most favorable to the state, the court has heard from different witnesses. There has been some conflicting testimony. However, the court thinks that the state has made a prima facie case for both conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and first-degree murder, and it's a jury question. So I'm going to deny your motion. Are you ready to present proof?
Could I just have a couple minutes to see who's here? I told him 10:30. He said, no, the
Let's stay in a brief recess.
Or stands in a brief recess.
My niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn rats. All my niggas from the OOTAONGO. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn rats. All my niggas